Hello, folks. Hello, Galway. I've always wanted to do that. My name is Paddy Duffy, and I have a very important question for you this evening. Have you watched anything good on TV lately? It's a question we ask ourselves all the time, isn't it? Whether for small talk or for a genuine recommendation or just to get a bit of a sense of, what people's like and their tastes and whatnot. But for me, it goes a wee bit deeper than that. I've been in the business of giving you something interesting to watch on TV for about 15 years now. My career has been so diverse and frankly weird that it is across 3 IMDb pages. Because whoever is creating those things is clearly looking at credits and going, can't be the same guy. Can't be the same guy. But it is the same guy, and I'm here tonight. Hello. And what I want to talk about tonight is, I suppose I've had a real privileged career. I've worked with some great teams. My first job, in fact, was on Top Gear. I've worked on great quizzes then, like University Challenge and Mastermind and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And in more recent times, I've made BAFTA-nominated documentaries for Panorama and a great series about the Obama presidency inside Obama's White House. And the most recent thing that I did was I was the development producer for a feature documentary called The Last Musician of Auschwitz. I've had it's been an absolute privilege to do what I do. To come from where I come from, to sound like how I sound, to have graduated from Galway about 20 years ago, it's been an absolute privilege to be part of those teams. But what I want to talk to you tonight about is how do we expand that privilege and how do we expand that team? Because I don't think now that we don't talk enough to viewers about what it is you like. Because viewers are great with water cooler moments. People know exactly what it is that they want, and they know what they like, and they're great at analyzing it. So whether it's a piece of drama, like a big cliffhanger in a drama, or it's a format point in a game, like The Traders or something, people love chewing the fat on this sort of stuff, and they know exactly what they want. But we as producers don't talk nearly enough about how these water cooler moments are made or how they even get to you in the first place. And I think that is a bit of a problem today. Because as we go through in this uncertain media environment, we should make sure that TV is still magic, but it shouldn't be a mystery. So the reason that I want to talk about this tonight, it's a really important time. We're in a real crossroads. Some people might even go as far as to say crisis. There are huge concerns about how young people can get into the industry and work sustainably at the wages that they're getting. It's really difficult for freelancers that have been doing it for a long time to endure in the job, to keep a job despite sort of great experience. The people that are working are doing the jobs of about 3 to 5 people. And speaking of 3 to 5 people, it feels like that's about how many people own all media nowadays. So it's really, really important, I think, that we crack this and that we build a bridge between you. Things got so bad in the industry. Whenever I was working with a company in 2024, and this slogan was going out around the industry. Stay alive in 25. And I was like, God, that's Merry Christmas. That's a depressing thought coming into the thing. And then this year, it was be in the mix in 26. And so I figure before we all start doing some crime in 29, we should probably think of a better scheme for TV and delivering it to you than a rhyming scheme. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. I want to say, because we all watch television and it's like driving a car. We do it all the time, but we don't necessarily look at what's under the bonnet. That's what I want to do tonight. Now, we're not going to solve all the problems in television tonight, or we're not even going to contend with all the issues tonight. But what I want to do is plant a seed, is just get you thinking about what are the dimensions that you're maybe not thinking about when you look at television at the moment. There's one thing that I want you to have in your mind for the rest of this talk. I want you to think about a time that you looked at a lot of television, or you had a favorite show. And it can be any time frame at all. But I want you to think about that show or that run of shows, and I want you to think about that setup, that scenario. And I want you to think of this question. Is TV now better, worse, or just different from whatever golden age you have in your head? And I want you to have a think about that as I talk through, because I'm going to talk about a few of the things that I've experienced in television over the last years, and I'll zero in particularly on what I've been doing recently. But I think what is maybe the most straightforward thing that I can do is talk about just working in the industry altogether. Because sometimes I'll see a friend of mine I haven't seen in ages, and they'll go, "Oh, well, Paddy, how's it going? How's things? How's work? How's the BBC?" And then I'll say, "Well, I don't actually work for the BBC. I work for independent production companies. In fact, I've worked for loads of them since I last met you. And essentially what we do is that we come up with ideas and then we sell them to the channels. And if they like them, then we work with them to get it to a place where they're really happy with it. And then they commission it. And then they'll give us a budget. And they'll give us a budget, but we'll operate it and we'll hire the people and we'll drive the thing editorially. And we'll choose who to hire and all this sort of stuff. And, we'll have somebody from the BBC working with us to make sure that, our visions are aligned and all that. But it's very much us, and we're putting it on their air as opposed to it being, the monolith BBC making everything that's on their air. And at this point, their eyes glaze over slightly. And they go, "Oh, right, okay, that's grand." And so then I'll see them a couple of months later. And they go, "Well, Paddy, how's it going? How's things? How's work? How's the BBC?" And at that point, I kind of go, "Yep, BBC's great. It's absolutely fantastic. I see Attenborough in the canteen every day. It's terrific." But, I really want to leave that with you, is just because it's on the channel doesn't necessarily mean that it's made by the channel. There is an awful lot of independent companies out there vying for the same thing. Now, a dream for me would be if we were able to think about television production in the same way that some of us think about movies. So, it's a high ask, but I would love for people to go, "Oh," in the way that people go, "Oh, I love how Scorsese does this in his films," or, "Oh, I can't wait for the next Nolan." I would love that to happen for television production. But if I could leave you with this thought, imagine a situation where Nolan and Scorsese and every other director that's out there, up and coming and, sort of middle of the range, all of them. And rather than competing to get a film made or to get it released, they are competing to get it into individual cinemas on individual days at individual time slots. That is what it is like working in a documentary at the moment. So it's competition, 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 competition. There are two other words: time and money. Making a documentary today is being asked for Saving Private Ryan with the budget of Dad's Army. I have worked on an awful lot of political work and things like that. Now, back in the day, if you had a big profile of a president, you would have got 6 episodes. It would have been after they left office. You would have had lots of time to research and reflect and make sure that you got everybody involved. And long after they were, so that they could really have a reflective view of what that president did. Nowadays, you might get 3 episodes. It would have to be done by the time they left office, and chances are all those staffers have agents now. So it's just really, really difficult now to do the sort of things that we used to do. But here's the thing: productions all over the world are pulling rabbits out of hats all the time. They are making it work despite the lack of time and despite the lack of money. But rather than it being accepted as a magic trick, it becomes precedent for the next people. And that means then that what happens is that time and money problems end up meaning that things get short-circuited. So you end up getting big, famous people to do these things. I saw that there was a wonderful thing there recently with John Candy. It was a fantastic documentary, and it was a lovely length. It had some fantastic archive, which costs an awful lot, by the way. That's what a lot of the money that goes into a documentary. That is, that is a huge amount of it. It got big stars. And then I realized why they got all these big stars and why they got the big budget, and it was on Amazon, so it got a great streaming sort of service as well. And the reason is that I saw directed by Colin Hanks and produced by Ryan Reynolds. Now, that's great. It's great that that's sort of the standard that we're at, but it also does mean that, and that's the reason that they can get all this kind of stuff. That's why they get the big budgets. That's why they get the big names. And it is an arms race era out there, and it's an era of go big or go home. But my big question is this: if you're not already big, how do you afford your home? And that is the big problem that we have throughout television at the moment. So I want to go back to my earlier question: better, worse, just different. There is no real right answer to that. There's no real right answer to that, but the key thing is that you have some sort of say in it. It's never been more important that you're not just what you pay in your subscription fee or your TV license or the selective data that we choose from overnights. You really have to be part of the process. I used to be a youth worker before I was in television. And something that I always used to say to people there, I think still really sustains today. If you give people a voice, they will use it. And if you give people a choice, they will use it. Now, when I said that thing and when I was asking about what did you love about, or the golden era of television, chances are the television part was kind of incidental. You were thinking about the friends you were watching it with, the family you were watching it with, the mood you were in when you saw it. All these things around it mean that television will always be great. But it has never been more important that we listen to you properly. Everybody loves to sit back after a day and watch television and maybe space out a bit. But don't let television be something that just happens to you. It's much more important than that. The way that the world is at the moment, television does not exist in a vacuum. And this feels like quite a scary place at the moment. And when things feel narrow, it's up to us to open it up. And when things feel opaque, it's up for us to clarify. And hopefully, between the two of us, we can keep switched on. Thank you very much.